Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. So, my name is Tunsisa Hurisso. So, I am Assistant Professor of Soil Science at Lincoln University of Missouri. And I got my PhD from Colorado State University. And then I did my postdoc with Professor Ursula Norton and Professor Jay Norton at the University of Wyoming. And then I did also my second postdoc at the Ohio State University with Dr. Steve Coleman. So today I will be talking about the soil health indicators of active organic matter, okay? And then the relationship of active organic matter tests or indicators with management practice. So this is the outline of my talk. I'll be briefly talking about active organic matter and why we do care about active organic matter and what are the available organic matter tests or indicators. And I will share with you some of results from Ohio. So organic matter is a foundation for productive soils. And it is made up of carbon-based compounds from plant residues, bacterial and animal products. And organic matter is 50% organic carbon. And typically it makes up between 1 to 6% by weight of soils. And it is the main source of nutrients in many systems, and especially in organic systems. So there are benefits of organic matter. Physically, organic matter enhances aggregate stability. It improves water infiltration, soil aeration, and things like that. Chemically, it increases the ability of soils to hold onto and supply essential nutrients. And biologically, it provides food or energy for the living organisms. And it also enhances the soil food web, which can help in the suppression of disease. Okay, so when we talk about organic matter, there are two important concepts: mineralization and stabilization of organic matter. So mineralization is a conversion from organic form to inorganic form. It's also known as decomposition. So this process makes nutrients plant available. Example is the breakdown of, for example, protein into nitrates. And stabilization, on the other hand, is a conversion of nutrients from inorganic form to organic form. It's also known as immobilization. This process locks up nutrients in organic matter, making the nutrients plant unavailable. And it's important process for building organic matter. And there is a trade-off between the two processes, but as a grower, we need both processes, okay? Mineralization and stabilization. So not all organic matter is created equal. So we have three different pools of organic matter: active pool, the slow pool, and the passive pool. This is usually referred to as the humus, the most stable form of organic matter, is the passive pool. And then the active pool is something that is originated from recently deposited organic materials, and it is it's very fast in terms of recycling and decomposition. Just in a matter of days to few years. So it's an important pool in terms of nutrient cycling and driving biological activity. So how does active organic matter increase productivity? As I tried to show in that little diagram right there. So you have the soil food web, the active organic matter, and the plant roots. All those three together, they act as a sponge, storing nutrients and also release them when the time is appropriate. So that plant microbe interaction increase nutrient use efficiency and thereby increase productivity. So how do we build soil organic matter or active organic matter? There are different ways or approaches that can be used. For example, addition of manure, compost, or minimizing soil disturbance or reducing tillage, and also leaving crop residues in the field. But more importantly, keeping soil covered with living plants. According to new understanding, a vast majority of the soil organic carbon is originated from crop roots. So, for that matter, it's very important to keep soil covered with living plants all year round. So, why do growers need active organic matter test? So, there are two reasons for that. We cannot manage what we do not measure. So we have to measure in order to identify and understand the constraints in the soil in order to manage them. And also we need a more integrated approach to nutrient management because traditional or routine nutrient testing largely ignores the biological potential of organic matter mineralization. Therefore, it is important to integrate active organic matter tests into traditional nutrient testing. That way we can avoid under or over application of fertilizers. So the benefits of active organic matter tests for growers, it helps to establish a baseline of active organic matter for the fields of your farm. And it also helps to track the trajectory of improvement that is resulting from soil health practices because active organic matter responds much more faster than total organic matter. So there are a number of soil health indicators of active organic matter that can be used, but some of those indicators are very expensive and some are very time consuming. Therefore, in my lab and in my previous labs that I worked in, we use active carbon, soil protein, and soil respiration. So these are cost-effective and very rapid tests. So for today's talk, I'll be focusing mainly on those three tests. So this active carbon, respiration, and soil protein, as Jim mentioned, they're commercially available. There are commercial labs that offer these tests. For example, University of Missouri, they have a Soil Health Assessment Center, and Cornell University and the Henny test is another alternative, especially for respiration or the soil beta test. So what do these tests reflect or measure? Respiration is a general measure of microbial activity. The active carbon, it measures the carbon pool, the biologically available carbon for the microbial biomass. And soil protein test, it measures the nitrogen pool or the nitrogen that is potentially available for the microbial biomass. So our goal here is just to better understand the active organic matter and to develop a robust test to complement the traditional nutrient testing. So as far as procedure for active carbon, at least in our lab, we use 2.5 gram soil. We mix that with potassium permanganate solution, okay, and then we shake that for 2 minutes. We let it settle for 2 minutes, and then we read absorbance on a spectrophotometer. There is also active carbon kit that can be used under field condition. For soil respiration, we use 10 grams of air dry soil, and then we adjust soil moisture to 50% field capacity. and then we incubate that at room temperature for 24 hours, and then we take a air sample from the headspace, and then we inject that into a gas analyzer, and then we obtain a reading. Soil protein, this is autoclavable soil protein procedure. So for that, we use 3 grams of soil. We mix that with 0.02 molar sodium citrate. We shake that for 2 minutes, autoclave it, centrifuge, and also read the absorbance on spectrophotometry. So at least in Ohio, so far, we have been able to measure active carbon, respiration, soil protein, and total organic matter on over 1,000 soil samples, and try to look at the correlation or relationship between the indicators. And there are very good correlations, not really good, but good enough. But more importantly, we have been able to, have distribution, okay, for each indicator, because having that distribution is very important, and it's the first step in the interpretation of results of soil health analysis, because that enables us to make inference about the sample that we analyze. So, for example, based on that distribution curve, we should be able to have this kind of category here, okay? So we can make an inference whether soil protein value or the active carbon value or respiration value is low, medium, good, or very good. So right now, we are able to provide not only numbers to farmers when we receive samples and analyze in our lab, but we should be able to provide additional context on their soil samples to see how their protein value or active carbon value or respiration value compared to soils on other farms. So this is, I think, a very effective format or way of reporting active organic matter tests, especially to farmers. So we also try to look at the relationship between management practices and active organic matter tests. So we made a hypothesis that respiration is more related to a breakdown of organic matter or mineralization, and active carbon or PAXI is related to organic matter storage or stabilization. So this hypothesis is based on a study that was conducted in Michigan. So in order to test this hypothesis, we collaborated with a number of researchers across the country, and we were able to obtain more than 1,000 soil samples. We analyzed them in our lab. So those samples came from 76 sites in total, representing diverse soil types, ecosystems, and geographic areas. So we analyzed those samples for PAXI and respiration. And then we looked at the relationship between those two indicators. So in many cases, the PAXI or active carbon is related to respiration or mineralizable carbon. And then we used statistical approach to determine the relationship between management practices and those two soil health indicators. So here, these studies are from different states, from Georgia, California, Mid-Atlantic is from Maryland, WORT is from Illinois, this one is from Michigan, and this is from Ohio, and then California, this is from Illinois, Maryland, Michigan, and that is from California. So we used statistical approach in order to determine that relationship between management and soil health metrics. So here, just to make things simple, so this bar is above the zero line that reflects or represents active carbon. So the bar below the zero line reflect or represent respiration. So as you can see here, active carbon or PAXI is related to no tillage, whereas respiration is related to tillage. So that is consistent across those 4 studies, okay? And then we also looked at the relationship between amendments and cover crops and those 2 soil health indicators. As you can see here, this bar above zero that reflects active carbon. So that is related to compost application. And then respiration is related to a control where no compost was applied. Okay, so the trend is pretty much similar here. Compost is related to active carbon. Compost plus biochar, that's also related to active carbon. Compost plus cover crop, that's also related to active carbon, whereas control without those treatments is related to respiration. That's pretty much consistent across the studies. But when you look at manure, that's uncomposted manure, that's related to respiration. In cover crops, especially leguminous type of cover crops, those are related to respiration. Okay, so that's the same here, and that's the only exception right there. So for that, we don't really know the answer or justification, but except that one, that study is from California. Pretty much cover crop, especially if they are leguminous type, those are related to respiration test. Compost is related to active carbon. Biochar is related to active carbon as well. So there is also a recent study out of North Carolina that tried to look at the relationship between the soil health indicators, active carbon, protein respiration, and corn yield. So this red dots here, those represent mold board plow, and then the yellow ones are for chisel plow, and then green ones are for minimum tillage. So protein tend to be higher in the case of minimum tillage, active carbon the same. And there is a very good positive relationship between protein and corn yield. And there is also very positive relationship between active carbon and corn yield. So this is telling us that these indicators are somehow related to crop yield as well. So this is for soybean yield versus protein, and also the same study from North Carolina. So there's a positive relationship between protein and yield, but the average square value is much lower than the one for corn. I guess that's all I have for today. So in summary, the soil health indicators of active organic matter, the active carbon, respiration, and soil protein are very sensitive to management practices. Active carbon is related more to organic matter building practices such as no tillage, compost, and biochar applications. Soil respiration, on the other hand, is related more to practices that lead to organic matter mineralization, such as manure, tillage, and cover crops. And according to some limited research, so there is a positive relationship between these soil health indicators and crop yield. But in this area, more work is needed. So, yep, so that's all I have for today.